I think it's safe to say that any new entrepreneur would love to make more in just a few months than they had in the previous years of struggling to get their business off the ground. In this particular CLV Boost case study, we go over the story of Sean, who's done just that. Sean came to us originally after working for well over a year and aiming to make a living online teaching his passion, which is Muay Thai kickboxing, a niche that some people said maybe he'd never make money in. And within a few months of being able to implement some of our simple strategies for driving a lot more leads with his blog, which we'll be talking about, implementing some marketing automation, which he'll tell you about himself, and introducing products to his own internal list with a simple product launch strategy, which you'll also hear about here, Sean was able to pull in $40,000 over the course of a number of months, more of a massive multiple over what he'd ever made before online. And now this is a full-time gig for Sean, allowing him to pursue his passion full-time online. Those of you who are new, this is a borderline necessary case study to study. Those of you who've been selling online for quite some time will be refreshed to learn some of the simple strategies that allowed Sean to jump so quickly in terms of the size of his list and the way that he's implemented automation based on some of our strategies that could be implemented in literally 7 or even 8-figure businesses with amazing results as well. So without further ado, we'll dig directly into Sean's case study.
I was living in Thailand at the time. I was struggling with my online business and even having enough money to live while in Thailand. And if you can't have enough money to live in Thailand, you know you're not doing too well.
Yeah, it's tough.
So once I started talking with you and you got me on board with the whole creating video courses and email marketing, that's when I really started to see results. And once I kind of got involved with your coaching calls and seeing what everyone else is doing, so many things clicked in my head that I would never really thought about unless I had other people kind of doing the same thing around me. And just to see other people doing it with success got me even more motivated to kind of follow your advice and take your advice.
Big time. So
I wasn't that much into email marketing. I was building an email list slowly but surely. And once you got the idea that the money is in the list and I had to build my list, that's when I started creating lead magnets and opt-in pages that would capture people's emails and then I could eventually use to sell. And most of my emails weren't selling emails. I would only sell my ebooks every now and then, which barely made any money. And once you got me creating a course, kind of launching it and selling through email, the initial launch really did well compared to everything else, like 10 by tenfold. And from there, I just kind of took it from there.
so the initial product launch was kind of the first kapow.
Yeah, and like the building of the email list and use my Facebook, which is probably one of my biggest assets
Yep.
because I have about 400,000 fans. And actually using that to capture email leads, I didn't really think about that either until you brought that up, and that's been a huge benefit or a huge aspect of building my email list. Video, because video shows my personality, and people can read my blog and read the posts I put out, but until they actually see me and hear me talk and see my teaching style, what I've gone through, it's much more relatable that way, and people feel like they connect, they trust me, they know I'm an authority because I've put in the work, I've put in the time, and it goes back to email because it's the people who watch my videos, they email me, and then I'm able to contact them through email and have much more personal approach with them, and they feel a lot more invested that way. So when I come out with a project or a course, they feel like, oh, Sean's a cool guy, I like him, he knows what he's talking about, like I'm going to check out his stuff and support him.
Got it. So when it comes launch time and when you're doing your regular pulses of communication with your broadcast list or via your autoresponders or whatever, you can integrate video in there to sort of build that Sean to follower connection.
Yeah, absolutely. The book Launched by Jeff Walker, I noticed that you kind of had a similar 3 video series leading to the launch.
Yeah.
And I did something very similar, and that worked very well. And it was relatively easy to do, just talk in front of a camera, mixed in some training videos, drills, and then eventually led to the launch. And once the launch came, people were already pre-sold on everything because they saw some of the testimonials, the case studies. They saw some of the techniques and drills they'll be using. So by the time the launch came, people were like, of course I'll buy it. and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
conversions were really high then. What I was making back then was barely enough to live. I was working full time on the website, but then I was also training full time for fighting. I was also being an instructor and teaching personal training
Yeah.
lessons, Muay Thai lessons, and whatnot. And it was hard to juggle everything. I didn't have much of a life outside of those three things. Once I, well, let me go back a step. When I was releasing my ebooks, when I made the launch for my ebooks, I would make a grand or two, and then I would have trickles throughout the next couple months. I get money based on advertising and sponsors and stuff, but I didn't have like a consistent monthly income that I could count on. And I was living in New York City at the time, and
Ouch.
everything is expensive, and so saving up money was difficult. But eventually, we were like, let's move to Thailand. It's a lot cheaper there, and we figured I'd be able to live off the $1,000 or $2,000 a month I was making, and come come to find out that I couldn't really live off that, and it was so inconsistent that it was just worrisome knowing that I'm in Thailand. I might not have enough money to fly back home and like start life over again. So what am I gonna do? Once I released Clinch King, which was a course on clinching that I filmed in Thailand with some of the Thai trainers, which is an added incentive for people to, oh, look, these Thai trainers are teaching the clinch. Once I launched that, I made about 15 grand in the first month, and that was more than probably everything I've made combined on my website. Once I did that, I did another course, the Heavy Bag Blueprint, which
Yep.
did a little bit more than 15, and probably is done a little bit more than 25 grand altogether now. And that's it, with email automation and segmentation. I've been able to bring in a steady 3 to 6 thousand a month, depending on the month, with some additional promos, email blasts, and all that kind of stuff as well.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, it's funny because you and I have talked about how, I knew you did well in your launches, and now to hear that it's totaled to more than 40 is great. Because I mean, some people make $40,000 a year out of school and they feel okay about it, but to do it doing what you love, sitting in your boxer shorts on the
Yeah.
internet is not too bad.
If you're on the fence and you want to take it to the next level, whether you want to do it full time or part time, or work so you can have more free time to spend with your family or whatnot, being able to implement your email techniques and marketing styles is what took me to the next step in my life, essentially. Because, like I said, I was broke in Thailand, but after doing that launch, I was able to come back to New York, get a place, get a car, start life over again. And since then, I've been able to really just take it to the next level. Now I'm working on the website full time, and by full time, I mean like probably 30 hours a week, maybe.
It's not
And all
bad.
the rest of the time, I'm training, I'm hanging out with my girlfriend, going on hikes, live a simple life. So for people on the fence, I mean, it's either all or nothing the way I look at it. And if you just kind of half-ass things, you're going to be struggling for much longer than you need to. And one of the best pieces of advice that either you gave me or a bunch of people gave me is find someone who's done the same thing you're doing and mimic what they're doing. And that's exactly what you've kind of implemented, or I've implemented of yours. And since doing that, it's just been, yeah, business has been skyrocketing. And with the continuity and everything coming up, I'm just really excited to even make more money. So this way I have more freedom and more flexibility with my own life.